better, much better than Microsoft Windows, right? Microsoft Windows, you early on, it was just so easy to get viruses. You couldn't get any viruses on Apple. But which one was going bankrupt? Anybody know? Apple. Even though they were the better product, they were going bankrupt until they were rescued by, anybody know? Microsoft. Okay? And they did some great things since then. You know, they had a really good, at least I thought, a good business plan, a good business strategy, but it didn't work out, even though they were better. I don't know if that's better. Is that one? You sure? Okay. All right. I'm going to trust the technology folks because I'm not a technology folk. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit more also about once you have established a business, who knows what a profit and loss statement is? P&L. The accountant people. See, I heard Apostle Shane say, my accountant over here, my bookkeeping. So I know you know. P&L, profit and loss. I'm going to be very basic, right? You have expenses in your business and you have revenues, right? On that P&L, basically, you know the money coming in, revenues, versus the money going out, expenses, right? And what you have left, you hope, is positive profit, right? Okay? But there's also a little thing called the break-even point. Anybody ever thought about that in their business, right? That's where your revenues equal your expenses, okay? Because often I'll ask someone, how much money did you bring in this month? Or, actually, it's a trick question. I say, how much money did you make this month? And then they tell me all of what they brought in. I said, how much money did you make this month? Oh, I made $5,000. Okay, well, how much money did you spend making that $5,000? What were your expenses? Oh, $4,000. Oh, so you made $1,000. Or, oh, well, you know, we're still getting started, so it was about $7,000 in our expenses this month, right? So I said, oh, you lost $2,000. So when you can equal your revenues, the money coming in, with the money going out, those expenses, guess what you are? Broke. Zero, okay? You have no profit. You're operating at zero. But it's actually better because you got to know what your break even is. Because every single month, if you're working but don't know what that is, then you don't know what a P&L is also. And you need to look at it every single month. What came in, what went out. Okay? You know, one of the things, and I know sometimes it may seem like, hey, I have this real small business, and there's a life cycle in your business, okay? It's not absolutely necessary in the beginning that you have all these 4 pillars, but I believe for you to be sustainable over an extended period of time, that you'll need these 4. The 4 pillars, which I believe will help you be sustainable, and that whole sustainability thing, I call that the secret sauce. If you want to know the secret sauce of business, a successful business, it's 2 things, very simple. Y'all write this down, please. Because if you call me on Monday, I'm going to say, I can't take that call because I'm doing something. No, okay. No. 2 things. You must do, and I can't wait for the argument pushback on that because I'm going to talk about experience. You must do the same thing over and over again for an extended period of time. It's that simple. When you can do the same thing over and over again, over an extended period of time, you will be successful. You will be considered an expert. You will have credibility. It will become second nature. Okay? And a lot of people look at this as saying, have focus. Have focus. I'm willing to say that if you look at any successful business, no matter how much they've expanded, they got to where they are by doing the same thing over and over again over an extended period of time. They could be an electrician. They could be a plumber. They could be a cybersecurity expert. They could be a teacher. They could be a speaker. They could be a preacher. They could be a cook. They could be a chef. They could be a physician. They could be a lawyer. When they do the same thing over and over again without distraction over an extended period of time, you will win. Now, often you're going to say to yourself, yeah, but I got all these great ideas. There's one you. You can go in this direction and you can make progress. You can go in this direction and you can make progress. You can go in any direction and move. But if you try to go in all directions, you get nowhere. Okay? You do the same thing over and over again for an extended period of time. You know, we're in the 21st century. 21st century. Now, Apostle Wall and I, we grew up in the 20th century. We grew up in the 1900s. I love that. Way back in the 1900s. Right. But in the 21st century, you should look at what your opportunities are going forward. Okay? Give you an example. When I graduated from college, undergrad, there were no cell phones. There was no internet. Okay? There were no really large hard drives to speak of. We couldn't save information like that. There was no Word, you know. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. In fact, the majority of jobs that are out here today hadn't been invented or thought of when I graduated college. Okay? I'm going to mention a few things because they all go together. Going forward, AI, you need to know about it, right? Artificial intelligence. How can it help my business? How can I use it? And if you say to yourself, I don't need to know about that, think about all the folks, and I know some, who said, internet, I don't need to know about the internet. I'm going to leave that for y'all. I can do what I do right now without the internet. And they could for a few years. If you don't think about the future, you can make a very grave mistake, even a business mistake. I had an opportunity around 1998 that was you were born? Okay. Well, I had an opportunity around 98 to purchase a lot. Okay, a lot, well over 100. Y'all ready for this? Payphones. Okay? And they were everywhere, right? Guy came to me, he said, hey, we have payphones outside this laundromat. We have them over here at the gas station. They're over here in the projects. Da-da-da-da-da. And I knew about payphones. In fact, when I was a college student, during one Christmas, I worked as a security guard at Bell South, where the trucks came in who had collected all the money, you know, from the payphones. And you got to remember now, cell phones really started becoming a thing around 92, 93, but they weren't really big at all. I mean, just a few folks had them. Doctors had them. A couple of insurance agents had them. A couple of, you know, engineers, but mainly we still had pagers and all that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, I could do well, you know, $10,000 and 250 of these locations. I knew how much money those trucks were bringing in, right? But something told me not to do it. Thank God, exactly. Because really, within 2 years, just everyone was buying cell phones. Now, people were already buying. I mean, I'd had a cell phone for about 5 or so years because we got one early on. But the majority did not. But the prices were starting to come down. They were, some of these companies were starting to develop their own phones, and it was making it easier, and people loved the idea. But I wasn't thinking about where the 20th century and how the 20th century was going to end. I was thinking about right now. So know that we are in the 21st century, that the things that are opportunities now, when your kids get older, those things won't even be AI, right? Virtual reality. I mean, that'll be passé, as we say to them. That's not, there's going to be so much more. But right now, do know that AI is in its infancy, and there's opportunity there, even for the type of business that you have. Healthcare. Listen, we are living longer, and that has its own set of problems. It really does. Home care, okay? How can you alleviate a problem? One of the best ways to make money is to solve someone's problem. Okay? Bacon. How do I cook it better in the microwave without it sitting in there grease as it cooks? I throw it on top of a tea. Solve someone's problem. When you solve someone's problem, guess how many other people also have that problem? Solve your own problem. Because a lot of people, there are almost 400 million people in this country currently and growing every day. Just ask Texas, Arizona, I'm just kidding. So, right? Solve a problem. Distribution and logistics. Something again, that was not anything that we would have thought would have been an area that as an individual business owner, you could have participated in. Yet, that is still a 21st century opportunity. Again, in the early 2000s, no one was really buying offline, buying their products offline, okay? That phenomenon is about a decade old, okay? But it explodes, right? You had some people who were part of a multi-level marketing group, and I always forget the name. It'll come to me probably while we're talking, who they would come to you and say, listen, I can get your toothpaste and your washing powder. Amway, there you go. Amway, right? Everybody remember Amway? So some people are right. All those with gray, yeah. All those without gray. What are you talking about? So Amway. But when folks would come to you with this Amway thing, you're like, who's doing that? Why would I buy my washing powder and toothpaste and soap and tissue and all, and have it delivered to my house? I can just go to the store. Listen, going to the store is so passé. right now. However, there will be a need for folks to go to the store and deliver. And that need is even now. Robotics. Robotics. Okay? Now, pretty much, if you think about the things I've said so far, all of these things make life easier. They're making life easier. Now, I'm not going to get into whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But you shouldn't live life too easy. I'm just going to say that. Biotechnology, that's one. You know, let's look at some of the old things that are kind of new again that you can really make money from. Farming. Farming. Of all the government agencies, okay, $4.5 trillion a year budget, federal government. The largest agency budget is the DOD, the Department of Defense. I spent 10 years as a DOD contractor, okay? Do you know what the second largest federal budget agency is? The U.S., United States, DA, Department of Agriculture. Anybody in here doing business with the USDA? You are, so you understand. Anybody in here doing business with the DOD? I did for 10 years. Okay? Folks, if you're not doing business with the federal government, you're leaving that you can access about $900 billion on the table that you can access. Even though we spend 4.3 trillion, 4.4, 4.5 trillion, right? There's almost $1 trillion every single year that the federal government will spend with you. They spent with me. I sold the government everything but weapons and ammunition. Everything. You name it, probably whatever your product is, I've sold it to the government. And I wasn't making it, but I made alliances, teaming agreements, with folks to sell their product to the government. Because we are a capitalistic society. If we were a communist or socialist society, then the government would have these businesses, they'd make these products, provide these services, and that would leave us out. But instead, the government says, I need tanks, I need planes, I need paper, pens, crayons, t-shirts, hats, all of it. Photographers, I need all of that. And we make none of it. Will you sell it to me? I sold the government everything from lawnmowers to water trucks to bulk gases like propane, sold that to NASA, about 750,000 gallons. Okay? By teaming with someone else. You guys have heard of Blanchard Machinery, right? We have one here in Orangeburg. The Department of Energy, through the Savannah River site, needed a really big excavator, a huge excavator. But guess what? They can't go out and buy it themselves because it's public funds they're spending, right? Your tax dollars. So they have to put it out for bid. But I had a designation from the federal government. There's small business, there's 8A, there's HUB-Zone, there's woman-owned small business, service-disabled, veteran-owned business. I mean, there's a lot of different set-aside designations, and I can get into that later. But I had one called 8A, and it's a top designation. But what it allowed the government to do was to say, hey, James, can you get us this excavator? If you can get it, we will sole source this contract to you, no bid. We won't allow anyone else to bid on it because you're 8A and we can do this. Now, I couldn't afford that excavator, but I knew who could. Blanchard. So I went to Blanchard, showed them all the opportunity, signed some documents with their lawyer and the VP, and this is in Columbia, and they bought that excavator. They had it shipped to the Savannah River site on 3 trucks. That's how big it was. This is like the second largest excavator in the U.S., right? And then I billed SRS, because I gave them the price quote. And in that quote was the cost that Blanchard gave me, along with my markup for facilitating this, okay? We did that deal, and you know what the guys from Blanchard said after I gave them their check for a lot of money, okay? They said, hey, James, what else can we do? And I said, I'm glad you asked that, Pastor, because the SRS needs 10 Honda generators of this spec, of a certain specification, right? And they're like, we're on it. I've sold to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I mean, so whatever you're doing, the federal government will buy it. And there's so many avenues for you to find out how to sell to the federal government. So let's talk really quickly about this thing called nonprofit and this thing attached to it called grants. There's not a week where I don't get at least 3 people, probably more, sometimes it's that in a day, who ask me, how can I get a grant for my business? And I have a weird sense of humor, okay? So before something comes out of my mouth, I've learned the 3-second rule, which is just don't for 3 seconds, just don't. They won't understand, just hold that to yourself. Because I'll make some sarcastic joke and, So 90% of grants go to nonprofit organizations, not for profit, okay? There was a kind of a proliferation of grant funds right at during the COVID crisis, right? ARPA money, right? Because the government was trying to not only inject you with a shot, but inject the shot of money into our economy, right? And that's not a political statement, folks, so don't get it twisted, okay? It's just a metaphor. So, but that's over, all right? 90% of grant funds go to 501c3 tax-exempt nonprofits. Now, why did I say 501c3? Because nonprofit is a state designation. 501c3 is a federal IRS tax code. It gives you tax-exempt status. Without that 501c3, you can register your company with the Secretary of State as a nonprofit, but you're not going to really be able to participate and do anything because you can't benefit anyone else. When you go, oh, I'm a nonprofit, you know, you can give me money and you can deduct it from your taxes. That is a lie. If you're not 501c3, tax exempt nonprofit, then you can't tell anyone that I'm going to give you a receipt that you can use to file your taxes. They've given you a donation, okay? And to them, that donation is a gift, all right? Now, there are 2 forms that you can fill out to become a 501c3. And there's a certain, I mean, you need to become a S Corp. I always say S Corp. You can be a C Corp, but you need to be a corporation first. Then you change over from a corporation to a tax-exempt corporation, right? And In order to become a tax-exempt corporation, you have to complete what's called the Form 1023, okay? And there are two of them. There's the one I like, the 1023 EZ, okay? Kind of like the 1040 EZ, right? And then you have the 1023. I always recommend that if you're going to just go straight to the 1023, that you get an attorney to help you with that. However, the 1023 EZ is about 2 pages. You can complete that, with the information that you see on the IRS's website. The stipulation, though, is that the first 3 years, you're not supposed to bring in more than $50,000 a year. And truth be told, most 501c3s aren't going to bring in that amount of money anyway. I mean, in Orangeburg, there are a lot of 501c3s. How many of you have ever heard of Midlands Gives? Yes. Anybody? Yes. Mm-hmm. So Midlands Gives is an opportunity for tax-exempt 501c3 nonprofits to really go out and try to get funds for an entire day, and there's a focus on it, sponsored by Central Carolina Community Foundation out of Columbia. And you're very, very few, almost none, again, they are going to be able to get above $10,000, $20,000. Most of the 501c3s here in town bring in less than $50,000, even the established ones. So if you're not established, but there's something you want to do in the community, you want to help with literacy, you want to help homelessness, you want to come up with a way for young people to participate in sports and get the community to support it. Or like I'm on a few different boards, and one of ours is the robotics board, right? We have a robotics team. We're a 501c3, and we can then apply for grants that help us. There's a few places that you can go to apply for grants, but the federal government has one huge database called grants.gov, okay? And there's some great things there. South Carolina has something, and then there's urban awareness also. That's good. Grants used to be very hard to write. They really aren't as hard as people make them out to be. And now there are some great tools to help you write them, and quickly. Now, there are also foundations. If you're a 501c3, they will give you money without you applying, without you requesting funds for a particular grant project. They just want to know, who are you? Prove to us that you're a 501c3 by sending us your letter that you received from the IRS. Tell us what you're going to do with the money, and give us an idea of what your outcomes should be, right? Fill this out online, and we'll send you $1,500. What's the place that does that? Walmart, Costco, most banks, most large law firms, they have foundations. Plenty of families have foundations, right? Where the government says, we will allow you to keep your money if you put it in a foundation and then give it away to a 501c3 so that you can help them. Otherwise, just give it to us in taxes and we'll figure out what to do with it. Okay? Before I go any further, how many of you currently have their own business? Okay? So, if you don't mind, tell me what your business is. Start here.
An administrative assistant business, and I provide services with calendar management if you are a speaker, event planning, and I also do paperwork and different tasks that entrepreneurs, creatives, or speakers need.
Okay, so your administrative assistant business, is it virtual?
No,
It's not?
no,
So how do you do it? Just
in person.
you're so are you familiar with the virtual assistance business, virtual administrative assistance industry?
Yes.
Okay, because it's one of the bigger ones in the 21st century. In fact, last year, the person who I was going to have speak, we sponsored the Administrative Professionals Day Luncheon through the chamber. The young lady who I was going to have speak is out of Greenville, South Carolina. She started a business when she lived in Atlanta, moved to Greenville, has gotten so big. The way I found out about her was on 60 Minutes, the TV show. Okay? And she has virtual assistants across the U.S. working with major CEOs. She wasn't able to make it because she had to go someplace else, but we had another great speaker also.
I was there.
Okay. All right.
My business is LLC, like education consulting, like a speaking business.
Yes.
So my mainly is for the youth. My main role is just telling them about their purpose. So it's mainly that's my business, like speaking.
So what client are you trying to get to?
To the youth.
Okay, let me ask this, and this is me being me. I'm not attacking you, okay? The youth doesn't have any money, right?
Yeah.
Someone has to pay for them. So the youth really aren't your client, right? So let's think about who can pay for what you do. Do you have any school districts that are your clients?
I'm in a school district.
Right.
Yeah.
But the school has Title I funds.
Yes, sir.
Right? That if, I don't want to, in all of them, especially in the rural areas, that if you approach them about what you do, you may be able to bring them on as a client, right?
Yes.
You know that the YMCA, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the Parks and Recreation, right? Some of these are bigger entities that if you approach them with what you do, what you've done, right? The credentials that support you as being effective, maybe some of those could become your clients. And I look at it this way. We all have 24 hours in the day, right? Either you can go after one or you can go after 100 using the same amount of time. Either you can try to get a family to pay you or an organization to pay you, right? So think about what you're trying to do, who you're trying to reach, how effective you want to be, and what you're trying to make.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
All right. Who else? Yes, the young lady in the green.
Hi, I'm Flo Coleman, and I have a 501c3.
Yes.
And the name of our corporation is Judas House.
Yes.
And Judas House is targeted for young adults aging out of the foster care system. Most people don't know, and the focus has always been on the foster care. But as soon as they turn 18. They are cut off. And most times the homes that they're in say you have to go. So these kids are let go with no place to go, and they have not been prepared for life. So that's what Judas House does. Judas House is a ministry of Jubilee International Ministries.
I don't think she'll mind me sharing this story because she shared it publicly. The coroner for Richland County, Columbia, South Carolina, she was in foster care growing up. When she turned 18, they put her out the house. She hadn't even finished high school yet. There you go. They put her out the house, and she had to fend for herself. She's done some great things. And as I said, she recently became the coroner for Richland County. But that tells you the reality of what you're talking about. Some people are in it for the money. And once that money stops, they're like, hey, you're 18, out. What other types of businesses do we have? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, so I have the Polished School of Etiquette.
I know this. A couple of y'all I know.
So it's a children's and teens etiquette school, and so I offer dining etiquette classes. Excuse me, I'm trying to get my dining etiquette classes.
Yes.
Afternoon tea etiquette classes. So it really just all depends on what the parent wants and what type of class they want their child to attend.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned, and you and I have talked before, I'm glad you said the word want, okay? And I'm going to touch on something specific to what you do, right? And what is wanted and needed in Orangeburg. So most people would say, you know what? I need to figure out what we need around here, right? Because if I provide what we need, then people will buy it. When in fact, that's partially true. The easiest way, okay, to get folks to purchase what you have or do is to provide what they want, not what they need. When I provide what you need, I have to sell it to you. When I provide what you want, all I have to do is show it to you. When you have a want, I just have to show it to you. Let me give you an example. Let's say I needed to buy a car, right? And I saved up $20,000. I thought I did good. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to this dealer. I'm gonna tell him I got $20,000. Don't show me anything else. I want to see cars for $20,000 and below. That's it. But see, all my life, I wanted a yellow Corvette. Y'all remember that song by Prince? Little yellow Corvette. No, okay, no. I want to see who was really listening, right? How many of y'all done fall asleep, right? There you go. All right, A Queen, I see you. So I want this yellow Corvette. But I got $20,000. I go to the car dealer, and I said, listen, I don't need a car payment, don't want a car payment. I have 20 grand. Show me the cars for 20 grand. And they said, okay, let's go. So we're walking, looking at the cars. All of a sudden in the back, I see a yellow Corvette. No one showed that to me. We're just looking at what I want to buy or what I need to buy. And I tell the car salesman, hey, that yellow Corvette back there, how much is that? And he's like, oh, well, that's $25,000. That's outside. That's why I didn't show it to you. And I go, let me see it. Salesman says, well, I thought you didn't want to spend anything. Or I know what I said, I know. But let me just see it. So I go look at this yellow Corvette. And I start thinking to myself, salesman hadn't said a word. I start thinking to myself, I got 20 grand. If I put the 20 on it, it's 5. I could finance the rest. I'm at $100 a month for just, I'm selling myself, right? Because salesman's like sitting back. Because remember, if I have what you need, a bunch of cars, I got to sell it to you. But if I have what you want, all I got to do is show it to you. There it is. They're like, oh. Not kidding. Okay? So let me share something with you. And I think most of you in here can vouch for this. One of the biggest areas of concern in Orangeburg is called CS, customer service. Customer service. Okay? It's almost extinct. So not only is there a need for someone to teach customer service, the general public as a whole wants that to be better. We have, Miss Sierra, you probably already know this, we have lost business opportunity in Orangeburg because those who were looking to relocate here were so disappointed by the lack of customer service. So what you're talking about, I'm going to give you the new what's the technical term? Soft skills, right? So my kids, who are both grown now, right? They took a class like what you're teaching from a friend of ours. It has served them well because they were both parts of, and still are, and in their futures will be parts of banquets and meetings and structure, right? And they needed to know these things. But in my estimation, if you were to develop a program that could be trained and folks could do this over and over again over an extended period of time, right? That niche is something that folks want filled. And the customer, in my estimation, and this is based on my interactions, are the owners of these facilities. Okay? So you can work with individual families, right? Because I did that, and we're going to pay you a certain amount of money. Or you could work with the owners of Burger King, the administration, all of them. We get to Walmart. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. Okay? Some folks, and I'm going to give you an example, G&K, right? The aerospace folks, right? Very analytical in what they do. Remember now, they're putting rivets in the fuselage of an airplane, right? And so when you get on the airplane, you want to believe that it's safe, that it is not going to come apart, right? It's like they say, if you're on the space shuttle, you don't want the low bid contractor to have won that bid, okay? All right? So when you're on an airplane, you want to think that when they were putting this together, everyone was focused. So you know what G&K does? When people come to work, everybody, every day, they have to show on a chart, are they red, yellow, or green that day? Red means that they've had a bad day. Their kid, got suspended from school. Yesterday they had an argument with their spouse. Last night they got a DUI. Whatever it was, life happened, and today they just salty. But guess what their job is? To put rivets in the fuselage of this plane. We can't have you upset, missing one. No. So every single day, they come in and they do that and they hand it in. And when the managers look at it, they look for the reds. And they go talk with them and say, listen, what's your headspace? What's going on? Well, this is what's going on. Okay, well, let's move you over here today. Okay? You're yellow. Hey, what's it's not bad, but I just don't feel good, right? I'm a little dizzy, my stomach is upset, I might need to take okay, that's what we need to know. You were supposed to be here, but we're gonna put you here. Everybody else, all these greens, hey, do your thing, keep it moving. But we can't afford to have a wing fall off. We can't afford to have some skin peel back, right? We cannot. Imagine if at Burger King, every morning, they had to come in and let the supervisor know whether they were red, yellow, or green, especially if you're at the window. Okay? I'm going to be on the window today and I'm red. No, you're not. No, you're not. You will be on the fries today. Okay? Miss Green is on the window. But I never did the window. That's okay. You got a great personality. You happy today? Come up here. But what we're not doing is putting red at the window. Here, you got a card? What kind of card is that? We just had to tell you. Hold on a second. I'm gonna need to call you back. Hold on, somebody at the window. Welcome to McDonald's, can I have you? I'm sorry, excuse me. You don't speak English? I said, welcome to McDonald's, can I have you? 1, 2, 3. Yes. I'd like to. Yeah. Okay? I'm just saying. Yes, we're laughing, but you know what? We are laughing because that nonsense is universal. Okay? Here. And I've heard it before. What did I say early on? If you can solve a problem, you can make money. You already know the skills that are necessary. How can you transfer what you do with one group to the corporate side where there's actually more money? Right? You ever heard of the idea of economy of scale, right? So you can either spend 2 hours teaching one or 2 hours teaching the team. You can spend 2 hours charging, $70, or you can spend 2 hours charging $700. It's just 2 hours. So you might say, well, I'm going to add to what I do, or I'm just going to do what I do totally differently. When I originally started my first one of the companies, right? This one in particular, we were doing government sales. And the focus was to sell city, county, school district, right? But when I found out what I could do with the federal government, I gave up city, county, school district. Because it made sense for me to spend my time more wisely and more profitably with the federal government, because the system that they had set up said, James, you can get in these lanes because we honor those lanes. We honor 8A. We honor service-disabled veteran-owned small business. We honor women-owned business. We honor Hub Zone. We honor small business. They said we have money for those who have these designations. City doesn't do that. State doesn't do that. School district doesn't do that. It's much harder to compete, especially when you're new, right? Because I have to compete against Home Depot to sell lawnmowers if I'm selling to the district. But when I sold those same lawnmowers to Fort Jackson, guess where I bought them from? Home Depot. Okay, why? Because Home Depot couldn't sell them to Fort Jackson. So there are systems out there that it's like anything else. Can anyone here play checkers? Okay? Can anyone here play chess? Why'd your hand go down? Okay. You play checkers and chess, right? Checkers is pretty simple, right? But the rule, it's a board game and it's got the pieces, right? And chess is a board game and it's got the pieces, right? And you're playing against one person. That's where the similarities pretty much end, right? But because you know the rules of chess and checkers, right? You can play the game well. But you can't use the rules for checkers to play chess, even though the games look alike. The little board, you sat down. What are you playing? Chess? Oh, I know how to play that. What are you doing? This is checkers. Okay? Know the rules of the industry that you're trying to work in. They have specific rules. You can't just sell to the federal government, but there are ways to sell to the federal government. You can't just sell to South Carolina State, but there are ways to sell to South Carolina State because they're a government entity. You can't just sell to the school district, but there are ways to register to sell to the school district. And they have procurement rules, right? You have to learn the rules of the game you want to play. Now, the profession that offers the largest financial benefit is what? Physician? Lawyer? Sales. The answer is sales. Write it down, sales. No, sales offers the largest financial benefit. Think about that. And you don't have to sell a product. All the products are good. You can sell a service. Even with the federal government, I used to sell, 90% of what I did was selling products. But then there were other services that we sold. Did you know the federal government will pay you to be a part of what they call yellow ribbon weekends, right? I've been a part of those. To be a motivational speaker. Because on those yellow ribbon weekends, the families come, right, like in Myrtle Beach, and they're there and they're getting their loved one prepared to be deployed, right? And so they have motivational speakers at these yellow ribbon weekends. Do you know the federal government would pay you to babysit kids at the yellow ribbon weekend? They have contracts for that. So, I've been there and see these things happen. I've helped folks get the contract to do the babysitting, for the yellow ribbon weekend. The federal government has what they call appropriated funds. They have non-appropriated funds. I'm not going to get too deep. But anybody ever heard of MWR with the military? MWR, morale, welfare, and recreation. Okay? Let's say you're a photographer. What happens every single weekend at Fort Jackson? Graduation, right? Don't you think some of those folks want some pictures taken? MWR. They're always looking, I grew up near a military base. My mom was civil service for 43 years, went to a military school. Somebody's getting, civilian of the month, NCO of the month. They're buying awards. And guess what happens on Christmas at Parris Island and Fort Jackson? Everybody wants to go home, right? They're letting them go home, and they need buses. I helped a friend of mine start his motor coach company. We went from one bus to four. Was it four? Yeah, 4 in about 6 months. Now, again, it's who you know. I had some relationships with folks up in Greenville who had a huge bus company, and they were willing to sell him 3 for just cheap. Okay? Now, nothing is as easy as you think it is, but nothing is as hard as you think it is either. Okay? It's that whole fantasy thinking thing. We want to say, oh man, I can do that. I just heard him on, TikTok say, hey, just do this and it'll print up a whole book and you can make $20 million. Who's going to buy the book? He didn't tell you that part, did they? Okay? I wanted to add a little humor to this, but the seriousness is this. This is an investment of time, resources, your talent, your emotion. You need to be serious. Serious. If you're not willing to give more time to this than you give to your current job, keep the job. Don't think that, you know what, I don't like people telling me what to do. I need to make my own business. Create your own business. Everybody tells you what to do. Because you need them. Where are you going to get money from? You're like, hey, I created this great thing. They're like, yeah, but I don't want that. Can you make it in blue? Can you take the pickles off? Can you add mayonnaise? Right? You're like, they're going to tell you what to do at every step of the turn. And you got to work every day. Because even on the days you take off, you know what you're doing? You're thinking about it. Do I need to do? Should I be reading more about what's happening in my industry? Yes. Am I being innovative enough? What's the standard? Am I setting the standard? Am I following a trend? What does my P&L look like? Do I know what my break-even point is? Why do I need a building? One of the first things people come to me is, I'm getting ready to start a business. Can you tell me what real estate agent I can talk to about finding a building? I'm like, okay, so what are you selling again? Oh, I'm going to do this. Okay, so how many customers do you have? Oh, none yet, but as soon as I get my building. Happens all the time, folks. I met a gentleman 2 weeks ago who has paid rent on a building in Orangeburg for the last 7 years and hasn't opened his business because he won't listen. He's hard-headed. I'm like, he didn't want to hear what I had to say. He's like, but how do I get them to do this? And how do I get? I'm like, dude, it doesn't even matter. It's not your business. How do I get that facade grant? I'm like, they're not going to give it to you because you don't own the business. You don't own the building. Okay, well, is there a grant that I can get to buy my products? No. You've spent 7 years. Let's do the math. 7 times 12 is 84. You've made 84 payments on a structure that hasn't produced 1 penny. This guy is so hard-headed. I was going to say diligent, but diligent's a good thing. He's so hard-headed. He actually went to jail. And he had the payments made when he was in jail. I said, sir, I'm serious. I was like, you know what? Your 30 minutes is up, and good luck. But there's nothing else I can do for you because you won't listen. Continue to pay the money, right? He said, well, because I told him, what are you doing? Because I will get real with you, right? Right? And he's like, well, I told the landlord that, I wanted to stop, but she wouldn't let me. Thank you. Well, come on now, okay? I think what she did is what people do when you try to stop a service on the internet. We'll reduce the price for you, and you think that's a good idea. You're not even using it, right? They're like, well, you know what? I'm going to end my Hulu. I can't pay this $60, $70, whatever it is, right? They're like, what if we drop it to 30? You remember now, you're not even using it. You're like, 30? Okay. And so you continue to pay them $30 a month, and you thought, you know what? I showed them. I got half off. Let me tell you an old adage of business that I learned that business people know. 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Okay? So when you're trying to give Hulu 100% of nothing, they say, you know what, we'll take 50%. And you're like, okay. So she said, you know what? Instead of you leaving, because I believe in your business. What business, right? I'll reduce the rent. He's like, cool. You're not in business, dude. Don't go out and create an expense before you've created revenues. Okay? Again, Sierra knows this right here, and I'm going to share it with you all. Quite often, not all the time, but quite often, developers will have sold out those spots before they spend money to build their building. Now, big folks like OCDC, they might go out and build a spec building. Construct, you've seen spec homes, right? People will build them. Back in the day, I remember friends of mine who developed, lost everything in 2008. Okay? Because they spent millions building spec homes in Beaufort and Hilton Head. And then 2008 hit, and they collapsed. So, that's not the way to go. In fact, I always say, even if no matter what you're doing, go out here and prove your concept. Okay? MBA school, they call it proof of concept, right? You have an idea. Go test it. Go see if someone else thinks like you. Oh, I know this will work. Oh, really? Prove it. Everybody's going to want to buy this cupcake. Oh, really? Prove it. Everybody's going to want to hear me speak life into them. Oh, really? Prove it. Everybody's going to want my t-shirt. Oh, really? Prove it. Now, when you invest your money into this, you'll work a little harder, right? Okay? But at least you'll know whether or not. Because first thing everybody wants to do is, can I get some grant money to do this? You think grant money is going to make you work? Did grant money make people work when they were getting $600 a week for free? All right, now that's a political statement. I put it out there. I'm just saying. Okay? It came easy. It went easy. And all that easy did not help me want to work. Okay? But when you look at your last $25 and go, either I do this or that. And if you choose to do this, you do everything to support it, to make it happen. Okay? But if I give you, isn't there some parable about if you give a man a fish? Yeah. If I give you the fish, right? You're going to eat it. You're going to feel good. But guess what happens tomorrow? You're hungry. You're like, I sure would like to get another one of those fish. I'm like, I don't give anymore. But they're over there in the water. Oh, what am I supposed to do? They're in the water. I don't swim. Okay? So, don't think that there's grants out there for your business. Don't think that you can write a business plan and go present it to a bank and they're going to give you money because that idea is so great. Y'all do know banks are privately owned businesses, right? That have to be profitable. And if they're not profitable, then they are what? SVP, Silicon Valley Bank. Right? So banks can collapse. Okay? So again, I've been in banking, got friends in banking, and they have to make decisions. All of you are in banking if you have money in a bank, right? And they go and loan your money out, and then they loan it to an organization or business or whatever that collapses. What, yeah, if you want to take it as far out as it can go, yeah, there's an opportunity for your loss there. The bank definitely is losing money. They're not interested in losing money. So even though they'll look at your business plan and go, this is awesome, the next statement is going to be, what do you have as collateral? You know, if we loan you the money for this, let's just say that this crazy little thing happens where it doesn't work. How are we going to get our money back? You got a house, you got some land, you got stocks, you got any precious metals, and a bit, we will use that just to protect, okay? Now, there are venture capitalists out here, right? They're angel investors who will tell you, hey, you see Shark Tank, right? Equity investor means what? They want a portion of the ownership. Debt investor is someone who says, listen, and I had those when I was doing government contracts. Someone who was wealthy who said, James, whoa, you're doing some great things. We'll loan you the money to get this, and we want 10%. They didn't want any portion of my company. They financed the deal, okay? And I gave them 10%. I put it in there, and it was like clockwork. We were doing business like that. So let me open it back up again. Any questions about what you do or what you've heard that you would like me to address? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have a question concerning assigning value to services that don't include like selling a specific product. Because I feel like a lot of times you can create a business plan. If you spend 10 cents on the product and you sell it for this much, you can make. But for things where you're offering some type of service or like counseling thing, how do you assign a value to that and then get people to respect that value so you actually do make a profit from everything you've invested?
Well, again, there's tangible money that you put into whatever it is you're doing, right? I would try to figure that out first, right? So let's say you're a counselor. And actually, I have a friend who does speaking, and she has to go someplace and do something. And we created a fee schedule, but along with that fee schedule was the fact that they had to pay the fee plus expenses. All right? So the key is to at least break even, meaning gas, food, so it's travel and food on her. That we're going to send you a bill for travel and food, and we're charging this per hour. She's able to charge a certain amount because of her credibility. The list is long. You put the name in, Google, and you're going to see all this very important stuff that she's done. So the credibility is there. But sometimes, if you're new, think about this. If you're new, you can't charge what folks who have been doing this over and over again for an extended period of time can charge. But depending on what you do, look at the market and see what will the market bear for you? What's out there? Is it that on the low end, people pay or organizations pay X, and on the high end, they pay this? Some people do speaking and they make $80,000, $100,000, right? And then you have folks who, former presidents and major figures, and they're making $1 million, and certain actors and all that. But they're not saying anything more than you could. They may not even be saying as much. Do you know how much Mike Tyson gets paid to talk? He can pay to talk, right? So, okay? But, again, you don't have the notoriety. You're not going to bring in, what Mike Tyson's going to bring in. So you have to look at, who is my client? Where am I going to start, right? If I need to start at a lower level, then understand you need to build up your ability, your credibility, and you don't charge like someone who's been doing this a very long time. But I am going to say this. If you think you are reasonable in your fee, if you think you are more than reasonable in your fee, that's it. Okay? This is what I charge. This is why I charge it. This is what I will deliver to you. But if someone says, well, young lady, what if we just give you $100? I mean, you're just starting off. No. Okay? It's better to get a quick no than a long maybe, and it's better for you to not chase something that's unreasonable. If you spend that time chasing, guess what you're not doing? Finding the right opportunities. You have to know when to say no. Even though you're like, well, this will get me started. If you're ready to say yes, say yes. But if your gut in your head tells you no, then no. So this is what I charge. This is why I charge it. This is what I will do. And really, I think this is going to be the outcome, right? If you're talking to the owner of McDonald's, this is what I do. This is what I'm charging. This is what I think the results will be for you. And try to make it tangible for them, right? Try to say, right now, McDonald's, you're getting 500 cars a day, but 3 months ago, let's look at what you were getting, or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm saying that a lot of that is due to customer service. I believe if I can train your people better in customer service, the value to you is going to be exponential compared to what you're going to pay me. So the $2,500 that you pay me this month to train your staff over the next 3 months, you're going to get that back tenfold, because you're going to be able to bring back 500 more cars. We've already shown that people believe customer service is number one, and it's the number one lacking thing. So I believe you need to stick. You need to be able to charge based on your experience, the relevance, what you claim you're able to do it, and then be able to show that the outcomes were what they expected. Because what are people paying for? Outcome. Even if you're buying clothes, they want the outcome. They see the model with it on. They want to look like that. They want the outcome. Right. Even if you don't. But it doesn't matter, because it's like, I'm going to look like that if I put them clothes on. No, we're laughing, but every young boy, when I was growing up, had to get a certain pair of tennis shoes, because I'm going to play basketball like that if I have no shoes. In fact, why are they selling tennis shoes now? Because people think that I can do what Mike does if I have on his shoes. I can do what Kawhi does if I have on his shoes. Okay? The outcomes, that's what they care about. You will get repeated business if you give the outcome that I am looking for. All right? Yes, sir.
What people they want what they want on the shirt, and that's
Right.
what I started last year, was making it to where I provide customer service. I FaceTime them, show them what I'm doing, what design they want. So I said, I want to make sure you like it as I'm doing it. I show them, and they're like, yeah, everything you were saying is what they tell me, the kids at the gym, and a few people and the adults started to, man, people are asking. So I needed more insight on that, because that's why I know people don't do what I would do, FaceTime them and show them.
I'm going to give you the James Mcquilla experience answer, okay? You are an artist. There any other artists in here? Okay. If I were you, because I'm helping someone do something right now, similarly, right? If you have a brand, sell your brand. Do not deviate from that. Because when they go, hey, but can you do this? No, I don't do that. Okay. I'll pay you to do it. Nope, I don't do that. Do the same thing over and over again, over an extended period of time, and you will win. But if someone says, can you put a zodiac on there? Yeah, I can do that. Can you put my name on it? Yeah, I can do that. Can you do this? Do you know how much it costs? And I know you do, to create the new, no. Focus on your brand, sell your brand. Now, I could continue on, but I'm going to leave it at that. Leave them to do and find someone who does what they're doing. And then they're going to respect you, because someone's going to see that. Say, listen, I'm glad you brought the shirt, right? But this is what I do. Now, when they're wearing that shirt, someone else is going to go, I love that Jesus is Life shirt. Where did you get it? Oh, over here. Well, does he do? Jesus is Life. Okay? That's your brand. If your brand is Christianity, then on the first Sunday, you don't do Christianity. Second Sunday, you do Islam. Third Sunday, you do Hinduism. Fourth Sunday, no, we do Jesus in this house. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I started an organizing business some years ago. I'm not active right now, but I didn't think it was really a market in Orangeburg for it. I didn't think it was a want. I understand. I could see it's a need, but not a want. Do you believe it's a want in Orangeburg?
For?
I organize a business, like I organize closets, kitchens, things of that nature.
Okay. Let me say this. Sometimes it's timing. It's timing. Give an example. You may have a lot of people in an area that are young. And so the service that you're offering is specifically for older folks, right? Great service, not this specifically, but it's a great service, but no one wants it because everybody's young. But 30 years from now, they're going to want it. Same service. So you may ask yourself, who wants, and there is a market, who wants what I do? Or how could I, and this is what I'm thinking also, how could I not just expand, but do something ancillary, meaning connected to what you do? Just from what you just said, right? I'm one of these folks, I say, think outside the box, but inside the system, right? If you have the ability to be an organizer and organize, closets and rooms and garages and all of that kind of stuff, there are people who, through whatever reason, end up with their parents' home. Let's say a parent dies. The home is there. Some of those folks don't know how, can't find it in themselves to go in and remove, fix, clean, whatever. You might be able to assist with that. Sometimes, well, it's just an idea. But sometimes, I got a feeling just from watching you dance, right? You have the personality, a calmness that folks may want to trust that very personal day with you. But you got to remember, it's a business. Okay? It is a business, and you charge a fee as people get older. And that population is growing because I said early on that, we're living longer. I've been to several homes of retired teachers, retired military by themselves, right? And the house is unorganized. We're not even talking about hoarding or anything like that. We're just saying, hey, I don't have the time. I don't have the energy or the ability. And we're not talking about cleaning. We're talking about just organizing it so I don't trip over this, so I don't stumble over that. There is opportunity. I think there are folks who may want what you're able to offer when you open up all of what you're capable of doing and being. The old adage was that people spend money on you because you are your business. Again, the demeanor that you show, the care that you put into what you do, that is important to people. And so I think there's an opportunity for what you do as long as you attach it to who you are.
There are some people who are really motivated to sell their homes, and there's some people who are really motivated to sell their homes, and they need folk like you to organize and stage the house for sale.
Well, see, and I was going to get into the staging thing. I don't know if you have any interior design capability, interior decorating capability. Okay, so, and it's not necessarily training. Training is great, but sometimes you have a skill set that is just, artistic, right? My brother could cut hair really, really well before he was trained. He could just see lines and angles and all of that. So, that you're right. Real estate agents often want someone to stage a home, right? Builders want someone to stage a home, but if that's not your ability, if your ability, like me, I'm good at keeping things neat, but I don't know how to really make them pretty, right? I can make them neat. But if your ability is to make something neat, then.
And it's not expensive. Yeah. I know someone who stages, and she uses whatever they have in the home.
Right.
And she goes to Dollar Tree.
Right. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And when she's finished, she has a wonderful product. And it's by word of mouth.
And again, I know some other folks, and here's the good thing about that. It's about who you are. Because if you got a not pleasant disposition, it doesn't matter how good you are. But if you have a pleasant disposition, then folks will be willing to work with you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
When you say, in terms of speaking, when you say that you must do this over and over and extending the time and you will win in speaking, what does that look like? Because for example, you were saying with Mike Tyson, he doesn't really speak. He's a boxer. And he makes, I don't know, like when he speaks, probably like $50,000 if he could.
He actually communicates pretty well because he's done it over and over and over and over again. You've watched him box, but he's had thousands of interviews. So that made him better at communicating. Okay. So let me tell you, one of the best speakers you will ever hear, ever, and I've heard a bunch of them, is my classmate from the Citadel. His name is Keller Kassam. Keller is the CEO of Dominion Energy, South Carolina. Okay? Keller went to school here in Orangeburg. His mother taught here. He's from Cameron. I've heard folks who make tens of thousands, 100,000, they can't touch Keller. But I'm going to tell you this. He prepares extremely well, over prepares. The next time you have to speak, well before you do, you need to do the whole thing in front of the mirror, the whole adage, right? I mean, you need to do it in front of the mirror. You need to say it over and over again until you get bored of it. Anybody in here sing? I know y'all got some singers in here because we've worked with some. But if you know a singer, by the time you hear their recording record, whatever, the first time, they've done it 1,000 times. Right? So that when they go out and perform, that's not the first time they're doing those dance moves. It's not the first time they've sung this. They're so bored of singing it that way, they want to switch it up. But nobody wants to hear it switched up. They want to hear it because they're hearing it for the first time. I know sometimes you might want to switch up what you're saying. Say the same thing over and over and over and over till it becomes second nature, because it's first nature to the folks you're saying it to. What it will show is your competence. It'll show your intelligence. It'll show your communication ability. You won't be off your game. It's not, you're not going to jump, because there are thousands of speakers out here, right? All vying for the same dollars. You need to start off in venues that are small and do it as much as you can to become proficient. And then pass proficiency into expertise. Because at some point, someone's going to go, what's your name? What's your name?
Travis.
Travis. Have y'all heard Travis speak? Just like I did about Keller. Okay? And I know for a fact, if Keller were in here today, I wouldn't want to speak. I've seen him speak over and over again. And most of the time, if not all the time, everyone looks like this. Serious. He did a prayer to open up the Heritage Golf event in Hilton Head. And I'm going to say it went viral. This is before viral was a thing. But everyone was asking for a copy of it. He speaks of the. It made the internet. I mean, just folks are like, what in the world did I just hear? And whether he's speaking to employees, speaking to graduates at Citadel, because we had him do the commencement, speaking at a funeral, which I've been, and we were like this. But I've known Keller since we were 18, and that's a long time ago. And he worked his craft. He was good, and he got better. Then he got great. He didn't stop. That's what you're going to have to do. Get in front of the mirror and impress yourself. If you can't do that, do it again.
Right.
Then find a critic, someone under the age of 10. Okay? And say, tell me what you think about this. Seriously. I'll be like, that one part? Or why do you say the word like that? You know? What is your eye twitch? So you didn't even know. Try that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I would say stay focused with that, young man. There's a There's a market for that. If you look up Les Brown, the motivational speaker who's been speaking for forever and ever, and you can go into his web pages and he'll tell you how he started years ago. And I've been following him for over 40 years. He had a knack for talking to people. He had a knack, but he had a hook that would get and snatch their attention first. And it was comedic, but he got their attention and then he just dived in. But no one would give him a chance. Over and over and over, and he knew that he could reach the people. And it wasn't until he was working at a radio station, and the motivational speaker that was scheduled to be on air did not show up. And they had to fill that spot. And it was a philanthropic opportunity. And that's where he came in, and he's been blown up ever since. You never know. It only takes one.
Well, and again, I'm familiar with Les. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it takes one, but it takes 100 before the one. Do it over and over and over for an extended period of time. Because if you stop, you can't win. We all know the story.
That's right. That's right.
But as long as you're in this race, as long as you're in the game, you have an opportunity. And one thing she did say that I'm going to say to you too. Figure out something that sets you apart from everyone else. Not the message. Don't worry about the message. Because it's going to be kind of hard to find a different message than what was it. But it may be in the delivery. It may be even your backstory. All right? I have a friend of mine. I'm going to end on this, I think, because we have to move on to the next part.
Okay.
I have a friend of mine from Orangeburg. He was expelled, not suspended. And y'all may know who I'm talking about. He was expelled from high school. Then he went to the streets. He ended up getting incarcerated. Okay? He realized that I'm better than this. As soon as I get out of here, I'm moving in a different direction.
Is this crazy
So
good or
after
what?
incarceration,
That man is no joke.
he gets accepted. This is in Orangeburg. He gets accepted to an Ivy League
All right,
college.
Daddy.
And he graduates from this Ivy League school. And this year, he completed his PhD. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'm going to tell you this. Most of y'all know him. Okay? It's not me, because I'm not Dr. Mcquilla. I've never been incarcerated. But that backstory of his gets people doing this before he opens his mouth. Okay? Now that I got your attention. Okay? There was another guy, because I've still got a little time. There was another gentleman who had his own talk show. But before that, he was a Navy officer. After he was a Navy officer, he used to do speaking engagements at HBCUs across the country. And there are 100 of them, by the way. Right? And the way he would start is everyone would be sitting like you all are right now. They would be waiting for him to come out. But he would be in the back. When it was quiet, he would say, God, move that mountain. And everyone would go. And then, just as Apostle Shane just did, he would come running full speed from the back to the front, jump up on the stage. Now I got you. Right? At that point, everyone's like, shook, energy. Whatever you want to do to introduce yourself, don't do this. Hey everyone, I'm Travis. I'm going to talk to you all about being better. Okay? Kids are like, how old are you, Travis? Well, then you remember being 11. Okay? attention span is short. If you're going to talk to someone who's 11, you better have something interesting to say, and you better be interesting while you're saying it. And you better look at them. Because otherwise, they're... Okay. Thank you. Oh, one more question, I'm sorry.
With customer service,
Yes.
customer service consulting, what do you start out as, LLC or?
I typically recommend that LLC is where you start as far as a business, your formation structure. You can, as an LLC, tax-wise, and you want to talk to someone who can give you tax advice, right? So your accountant might tell you, hey, that's the best way to go because it's going to offer you protection, separation between you and your business. Also, there's a chance that as you grow, you can escalate. I mean, it's easier to do. LLC just seems to be the easy way to go. Of course, you could be a sole proprietor, but then you're taking on all the liability, right? There's some issues there. So that's what I would recommend. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm in the process of getting my LPC license, and I'm debating on
What is that again?
licensed professional counselor.
Yes.
So I'm debating on whether I would want to do a private practice for children's therapy. So I wanted to ask you what would be the best route in getting started as far as like starting off with being a virtual therapist, because I know you mentioned about not getting into debt and buying a building, but I would love to do in-person therapy.
Well, the market is so open, and I don't know what the best would be, but I'm gonna give you some ideas that I think just from, again, I worked in the medical field, used to manage a medical practice. I can go on and on and on about different stuff like that. But here's the deal. 21st century telemedicine is big. If you can attach yourself, okay, attach yourself to someone else, some other organization that's already in there, already have a clientele, that's what I would recommend. It's like, let's say you say, you know what, I'm finishing law school this year. Should I open up my own law practice or should I join? My recommendation would be join a practice that's established so you can learn what the realities of practicing law is versus what you were taught in school. You were taught certain things, and actually my daughter's a psychiatrist, okay? So you were taught certain things in school, in residency, whatever it is, and then you got out here in reality, and we're like, whoa.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay? So I've done the both, and I think it would be better to attach yourself to an organized structure, learn the realities, and then later on, take that information with you as you decide to go on. Because you may end up being able to take clients, your reputation, all that kind of stuff. So, all right.
Wow. Yeah. Just gonna. Hello. Just want to break in right quick. Are y'all enjoying this?
Oh, yeah.
Are y'all getting this? I want to ask if you would pass that out to everybody. If somebody else could help, would you mind helping? I want you to, as I said earlier, invest in an idea. What do we do at Lightway Christian University is we train people in ministry. And we have given away scholarships, and it just helps people wherever they are in whatever country. I want you to invest in an idea. It's like sowing a seed for your business. If you want to give by way of, I'm going to do $100, but I want you to invest in yourself. Whatever you feel, your business or the idea that you want, invest on that level. It's sowing a seed. If you want to give via the Cash App, it's Lightway CU. $ Lightway CU. If you have a credit or debit card, we're going to have this wonderful young lady. I'm going to go ahead and use your service. You know that She will, right there at the back, she will take care of you. Because this is something that I believe, and I've seen it before, and that is why I have given extensively. When Jesus healed the man with the withered hand, what did he say? Stretch your hand out. The one who was lame, what did he say? Take up your bed and walk. There has to be an action. You have to have some type of action that will follow. We are inspired, we are encouraged, we are motivated, even those listening and watching. Cash App, Lightway CU, $ Lightway CU. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. We're going to do what we're going to do at the university online. We're going to do that. We're going to invest in people. We're going to train people up. People have started ministries, online ministries, helping families. There's one lady, oh, she is so dear. She lives in Australia, and she helps families become a better unit. She never thought anybody would even want to listen to her. And so she took one of the courses and started her online ministry to help families become a better unit, a stronger unit. You never know what your gifting is going to be, and that is what we do at the university. I'm asking that you would use Lightway Christian University as an asset for you to invest in. To say, listen, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a step by helping somebody else. What did Jesus say? If you're not faithful, this is in the Word of God. If you're not faithful in that which is another man's, who's going to give you your own? That's what Jesus said. I have invested thousands to help others, donated, nonprofit and for profit, to help somebody else. And God has blessed me. And I personally, through Lightway, I want to be a blessing. James Mcquilla didn't ask for a penny, but I want us to be a blessing. Hasn't he been a blessing to us? Amen. And I know he has to leave at 1, so let's try to do this in like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. If you have a card and you want to swipe, she'll help you there. If you're doing it by way of Cash App, if you want to write a check, it's Lightway Christian University, or you could just put Lightway. That's fine. They'll deposit it in Lightway's account. If you want to give cash, you can do that too. Yes. And if you would just give it to Jerry. I trust him. After you finish your envelope, you can hold it up and Jerry will come and get that from you. Ask God for the idea. Even those listening and watching, and you're investing now, you're sowing that seed, expecting a harvest. And listen, I'm not one of those, well, I've been on TV a lot, but I'm not one of those TV preachers that's trying to get your money from you. I'm trying to get it to you. I have sown thousands of dollars in seeds and I'll never, ever be able to beat God giving what I have received. Our church, we give thousands of dollars. Not just here in Orangeburg, we give thousands of dollars every single year. We have there's a missionary that we support in Peru. The Good News Clubs, we have given, I don't know how much money, Good News Clubs for 10 plus years, and they still get payments from us. So I know what it means to be blessed. All right. Now, I know Dr. Mcquilla has to leave at 1, p.m. So I'm going to ask him to come back up, even while you're still writing everything out, and give us about another 5-10 minutes of his time. Anybody got any more questions? Okay, there we go.
Yes. Okay. Yes, sir. To your left. Oh, okay.
So my business is McNeil Surface Solutions. I provide services with hard floor cleaning, pressure washing, carpet cleaning. I kind of got slack past couple years.
Yep.
So right now I'm trying to rebrand and just rebuild. So what would be some suggestions for me?
You know, it's interesting you said that because branding is important, right? But branding gets you noticed. Doing the work well gets you jobs. Okay, so it's word of mouth. Word of mouth can grow a business and it can destroy a business. So there's no magic answer that says if then. It's not like computer programming, but people just need to know that you're back out here. One of the things we did when I first came to the chamber 3 years ago, during COVID, right, was I looked and saw that they weren't growing at all. I mean, there were less than 30 new members over the previous, I think, 2 or 3 years, all right? And right now, almost a third of all the members at the chamber, we've grown since we got here 3 years ago. So, but one of the things I did was to offer a discount. And I did that, it was actually a huge discount, 50% off. It's kind of like when the hospital was being bought or whatever it was, right? You know, one of the things that they did to get their bottom line to look better is they offered, because we put it on our website, they offered that if you will pay 50% of your bill all at once, we'll wipe the rest clean. And they got a lot of people to do that. Folks had bills, right? And they were like, you owe $3,000, but if you pay $1,500, the rest goes away. A lot of people did that. When I took over at the chamber, I said, we had a lot of outstanding receivables, and I said, listen, if you pay half, you'll get the full membership, and we will wipe away the remainder until the following year. And we did that for a couple of reasons. Why? During the pandemic, was everybody producing the same revenues? No, right? They weren't. So it was like, hey, we know you need help. We need your help too. We want to be able to help each other, but we're a membership organization. For us to help you, you have to be a member. And so you pay half, you get the membership benefits. When I went out to get new businesses, I said, this is what we normally charge, $295, less than $25. However, $150 will let you be a chamber member. And we brought them in. We brought them in. So you're getting back out there. Two things. Be better than they expect when you deliver, right? And let me tell you what that really is. That means respecting people's homes, cleaning up after yourself. That will put you on the map. Because one of the first things people do when a contractor leaves is look. They left the nails out, they left this and people no. But I have a friend of mine who's a former Marine. He is one of the cleanest contractors you've ever seen. And he can't, the phone ring all the time. Because when he does a job, sweep up, clean up, wipe down, we're done. Everybody's like, All I paid for was you to change the doorknob, you know. Okay? Do that and give folks a discount to try you again, try you the first time, you know, or give you a second chance, right? And give them that customer service. Okay. Okay. So the chamber, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is the connection between business and community. We are a large county, and we're the Orangeburg County Chamber of Commerce. So we work with businesses that are in Woodford and Ellery and North and Norway and Nessus and Roseville and Branchville, right? We try to connect them to the resources they need to be better. Whether it's a bank, an insurance agent, a contract lawyer, a professional from SCORE, right? Small Business Administration. We want to be the resource that can help them get to the next level. They need a business plan done. We can show them online ways to do it. We can connect them with the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. We can help them get to the Orangeburg Regional Innovation Center, right? So we want to be and are that resource. Now, if you are a home-based business, no matter how much your revenues are, it's $170 a year. And it's a fiscal year. So if you join in June, you don't have to renew until the next June. Okay? If you are a brick and mortar business with less than 25 employees, which is the majority, right? It's only $295 a year. Okay? A year. Now, if you don't know, the chamber is at 155 Riverside Drive, which is, you know, right up here on the corner of John C. Calhoun and Riverside Drive. It's a big building. We've opened it up. So when you're a small business and you're working from home, we are a venue that you can use. We have a conference room, we have a training room. And I make them available, and they're very cheap. I mean, it's like, you want to rent the conference room for the day to meet with your people, or for a few hours? $10, $25, $35 for the day. Okay? Very cheap. Maybe 75. I'd look at that again. But for the day, right? But if it's 4 hours, I think it's 35, right? 4 hours. Chamber member. You got to be a chamber member. You can be a chamber member as an individual, okay? And it's like $80. Right? But think about it. We have, and membership isn't restricted to Orangeburg. We have chamber members from Sumter, Columbia, right? I have an insurance agent. When he meets with his folks here in Orangeburg, they meet at the chamber. I've helped folks who have internet businesses come in on a Saturday. They want to do a lunch and learn or whatever. We work with them on that. We are going to help you get better. I've had some folks come to me and say, James, I've been trying to get a meeting over at DPU. I've been trying to get a meeting over at so-and-so. You know what I do? That says James Mcquilla, president of the Orangeburg County Chamber of Commerce. And I will throw that title around. So I'll call, and I'm like, hey, this is James. I'm president of the Orangeburg. You know who I am. I need to have a meeting. Right? And then I bring them with me. I've done that. Right? Restaurant owners, like, I can't get to, I said, I'll get the meeting. You come with me. Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay? You said it from the beginning. I'm not in this for me. There's not a business I don't think I couldn't run. Okay? Because I've run a lot. I mean, before you were born, 94, I was a judge. I was the associate municipal judge for the city of Lancaster. So I tell people, I lived 54 and a half years before coming here. Okay? So the relationships help me help you. The banking relationships, the legal relationships, the relationships over at SC State and Claflin and OC Tech. Okay? Now, and I know where I gotta be, but they know I'm coming. Not everything has to be new to be good. Okay? And I know, let me get your question. Okay. My goddaughter went to 2 different colleges, and I tell her story all the time, she knows, and did not finish either one. Right? So I said, you know what? I know some things that would be good for you. I know you, I know this would work. I said, let's get you in at Midlands Tech, because she was in Charleston, not Midlands Tech, Trident Tech, for respiratory therapy, right? 2-year program. Respiratory therapy. She kind of zoomed through that. She was fun. She got to know some other girls, da-da-da-da. She graduates respiratory therapy. She's been a respiratory therapist for 2 years now. She makes more money than I've ever made. Even when I had a multi-million-dollar business, I didn't pay myself that much, because I had 40 people working for me and all that. Most people don't know about respiratory therapy. They don't know about radiology technology. They don't know about sonography, not stenography, sonography, right? 2-year programs.
Yep.
My goddaughter is a traveling respiratory therapist, which she's very young, in her 20s, and so she loves that, I want to go to Miami. So go to Miami and work. She paid for, because it's a national certification. She goes to Miami, pays for the license to practice in Florida, $95 an hour, 3 days a week. Okay? Now, she works 12-hour shifts, but guess what? She's typically working about 2 of those 12 hours engaged.
Right.
As a respiratory therapist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because she has to go into a room and say, hey, let me show you how to blow into this thing, and then she go up here, blah, blah, blah. Other friend of mine, she did sleep studies, right? She put the little diodes on, go to sleep, right? And they sat and watched Netflix.
Right.
Because it's at night and they need to stay up, and but the computers are monitoring everything.
Right.
Friend of mine's son just got his welding certificate. First job, Berkeley County, $70,000 a year. Okay? So, now, again, you say, well, we're talking about entrepreneurism, you're talking about jobs. Listen, just as my goddaughter, she went from $9 an hour, right, to the first job, they offered her $52,000 a year at MUSC. I got her an interview at Prisma. They offered her $52,000 a year with a $25,000 signing bonus.
Good dog.
Split over 2 years, 12.5, 12.5, right? Then she went up to Prisma in Greenville, and they offered her the same $52,000 without the signing bonus, but she took that job because she only wanted to work with kids, right? But so she took a job, but she has a national certification, and now she's independent. And she's getting ready to leave Florida and go back to North Carolina. So there's opportunity.
I wanted to know, when you've worked in a profession for a certain number of years and you've done the same thing over and over again for an extended period of time, does that qualify you to be an expert to now do that as a business as far as consulting?
So technically, the only qualified expert that has that title based on, that everyone respects, is someone with a doctorate. So when you get a doctorate, you are a qualified expert, right? Now, the antidote is if you spent 10,000 hours doing something, you must be an expert at it. Well, maybe, maybe not. Sometimes in business, you have to tell people what you want them to believe. So ask me, am I an expert at what I do?
Are you an expert at what you do?
Yes. I'm an expert. Now, again, I can show you my credentials
That's right.
that prove it on paper. Hundreds and hundreds of speeches, own businesses, MBA. I've been on boards from commissions and representing the government. Okay? So I have all these credentials over an extended period of time. Right? But when you do something over and over again, you do become an expert at it. What my definition of an expert is and what your definition of an expert is may be different, but it's the same word. Okay? Now, Apostle Shane may say, I'm an expert preacher. I'm an expert pastor. What do you do? What do you do?
Here at the church or?
No. Your profession.
Your business.
Oh, human resources.
HR, right? So even in your profession, y'all have designations that you, HRM and, some of the other, what you want to do, if you want to stay in that, and I don't know that you do, you may have a different business, but if you wanted to be an HR professional, then I recommend become a member of those associations so you can find out what's going on in the industry, what's, education. Educate yourself better and have some longevity. Then you become an expert. Okay? And I did kind of blow past this. Whatever you're doing, if there is an association in your industry, join it. See what's going on in the industry. See what's coming down the pipe. Plus, people like to see your credentials. And a friend of mine who's a hairstylist, she joined. I told her, I said, listen, join that organization. It's $75. Because you can put it on your card. And it says, I invest in me. It does. It says, I'm a member of the Hairstylists of America Association. For some reason, people go, oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I'm feeling a pull. For a few years now, I've been feeling a pull to do something different from what I've always done. I've always been a cook. But with the present day situation, I'm finding with our senior population, when they should be retiring, as myself, I should be able to retire, but I find myself working 2 and 3 jobs because we cannot afford to retire with the rents and the mortgages the way they are now. And so I have an idea, and it's not a rooming house, but I do have a different concept of a shared housing experience.
Okay.
Okay? Much like what you see on the Golden Girls. But I for the men, I see something like a GQ house, which is gentleman quarters, where they would have a shared rooming, private baths with common areas. Okay? Which is a bit more upscale than just your basic room and house. But there are so many abandoned properties here in Orangeburg. Is there a community-based organization or some kind of funding where these houses can be renovated and used for our seniors to make it affordable for them to live? Because a lot of them are just a step away from being evicted with the where's the money? You know what I mean?
Right. If there were funds to do that, we would have had them. Okay? And the other thing is this. Those abandoned buildings that you see, for the most part, are still owned by someone. You can't just take people's private property, even if they're not doing anything with it. It's not easy, right? And it can be messy if you try.
I've tried to go to the tax sales, but the investors, they have those sold up. And they're just still sitting there, you know. But I was just wondering, in asking people who work in social services,
Right.
I don't get any answers.
Because unfortunately, I would say answers are easy to give, solutions are hard.
Yeah.
Okay? So we can all see problems. We can all see problems coming, right? Like you said, there's inflation, there's still potential recession. If you think we live in a country of haves and have-nots. Those who have are not suffering right now. I can promise you that. But on the other end of the spectrum, people are barely getting by. Because when gas goes up 20 cents in a day, it makes a difference when your retirement doesn't change, right? And even if that's Social Security, because now your money's worthless.
Yeah.
So, and if you have money in the stock market, what's going on in the stock market right now? So then the value of your money is lower. But if you've amassed quite a bit of money, you have a cushion. And these fluctuating prices, you can get past them. It's just that even with the government, remember now, the government being the city, county, right? They don't do anything to create money. They tax you. They bring in that money. And then they have to use that money to provide the services that we expect. And typically, they're operating, slimmest of margins, I'm gonna say, right? So when we say, you know what, we need to do this for the homeless, we need to do this for the elderly, whatever this is an answer, but is it the solution? Because again, I can give you something to eat, but if I don't teach you how to use food over and over again, then one day we have a building, we put people in it. Who's paying the utilities for the next 12 months, 24 months, 36 months? Who's cleaning it when they don't have the ability to do it? We have to pay for everything. Sometimes an answer will come to you, but is it a solution? Is it going to solve the actual problem? It's a lot harder than you think. But I do have a saying, and it's proven to be true. Success is simple when we work together. We just don't often do that, especially politically. And when I say politically, that's where the government is involved. People have their own agendas. City council, you represent a district. County council, you represent an area, right? And your focus is kind of narrow-minded, not realizing that, as the old saying goes, the rising tide lifts all boats. So, again, I'm gonna pick on you, Sierra. In your industry, when they bring in industry, it doesn't matter which of the 11 sites they put it in, because whoever works there, if they stay here, that money is going to help all of here. But too often, well, I want it in my site. I need it over here. No, you don't. We just need it in Orangeburg. City and county government need to work together. Okay? And if they don't, y'all in here need to run for office.
Come on.
Stop asking about what they need to do. Look in the mirror and go, what do I need to do? I had a billboard right up here on Russell last year, and it said, what is the one thing I am going to do this year that will make Orangeburg better? If everyone did one thing, we'd have 13,000 things done in the city.
That's right.
And 68,000 things done in the county.
Yeah.
One.
One thing I would also like to add to that, in terms of what's the one thing that you can do to make Orangeburg County better is, I would encourage you all to definitely attend a county council meeting and a city council meeting so that you are aware of what is happening in our county, because oftentimes, we all have all these different problems and we can complain about Orangeburg and what we want to do, and we even have these different ideas and small businesses, but there's also a larger overarching issue that's at play, and the best way to really get, I would say, the pulse of what's happening in Orangeburg County is to attend some of these meetings. They happen every first and third Mondays at 5:30 p.m., and they start off the meetings by opening up to public comments where you can, number one, hear what other people are saying about the different things that are on the agenda, and it is also an opportunity for you to introduce your business to people so that county council is aware and they know how to support you.
And I've brought developers up in front of people with businesses in front of county council. Let me ask this question. If you never opened up your Bible, could you solve your problems? If you never opened up your Bible, would you know any of the stories that your pastor talked about, any of the parables? Would you know any of the scriptures and how they would even matter? So if you don't have the basic information, as you just mentioned, then problems are going to be here.
Right.
And you'll come up with an answer, but will it be a solution?
Right.
You don't have to open up your Bible to come up with an answer. But will it be a solution? You think about that. Are you going to take that talent you have and bury it in the sand because you just don't know what to do?
Right.
Or are you going to believe? Are you going to be a believer and let God lead you to invest in you? Step out on faith and be willing to sacrifice in order to multiply that talent. And in order for that talent to be a blessing for someone else. You had a question? Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes, I did have a question. So I've been pretty much buying, selling, trading pit bulls since I was young, since I was a little kid. And I've, over the past few years, I've recently tried to upscale that by importing some pit bulls into the country. And so right now, I currently got some dogs that I got them off of a bloodline that doesn't exist in our country right now, right?
Right.
But while I was doing this, I've been more inspired to breed and sell dogs internationally. So I was going to ask for some feedback on that, maybe some things to be careful with, and some things to do to help that grow well.
Listen, we have, and I keep looking because I know you already know the answer to this, but Department of Commerce, you've heard of it? Columbia, South Carolina. They have an entire section to help you, small business owner, sell internationally. Free. Okay? Remember, government, federal, state, government assistance is free.
Wow.
So you can go to the Department of Commerce and say, James Mcquilla, the president of the Orangeburg County Chamber of Commerce, said that you all have some folks that can help me sell my product internationally. And they'll say, yes, follow me. I had a friend of mine who used to sell vitamins.
Wow.
Vitamins. Now, would anyone in here buy vitamins, or would y'all just go to Walmart or CVS or?
Yeah.
Right? So he was thinking to himself, how can I sell these wholesale vitamins? You know what he did? went to the Department of Commerce. They said, listen, we're going to connect you with some legitimate companies in Eastern Bloc countries, and I think also South America, because I remember a story, that you can sell to in bulk because they don't make, but yet they still want and need those vitamins. He doesn't sell any vitamins in the U.S.
Wow.
He sells all his vitamins in Eastern Bloc countries for the most part, because the Department of Commerce helped him with that.
Yeah, so one thing I was going to say is I know the person who is responsible for the small business division at Department of Commerce. Her name is Sandra Barkley. I had no idea that that's how you were trying to upscale, so I will give you her contact information. I was just looking down at my phone because I was looking up her number. We were just connecting last week. So
Look at that. Wow. So, and also, you know, the federal government and the military, they buy trained dogs. So there was a gentleman out of Hartsville who trains dogs for like the Army and all. So I don't know if that's any part of what you're doing at all. You didn't mention it, but just kind of keep that in mind. But definitely that connection with the Department of Commerce. Well, you know, here's my other adage. Anything will work if you will work.
That's right.
Okay? So I'm never astounded by people doing things. Again, when we were growing up, someone took a little milk carton,
Yeah.
put dirt on the inside, went outside, got a rock, put the rock on top of the dirt, and sold it and called it a pet rock.
Yep.
And they made millions. Y'all remember?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And people would go and buy them from Kmart.
Yes. Yes.
Home, open it up.
Yes.
Yeah, carry them. Look at my pet rock.
Yep.
Anything will work
Yes.
if you will work. If you will work. Wow. I think I'm gonna
You good?
there. Okay.
Woo. Man. Awesome. You can stay standing. Can stay standing. Thank you for all of you who watched online. Yes, we are ending early. I mean, this is wonderful. All right, next steps. Let's do these next steps. I want to hear some testimonies. I know one thing, my company will definitely join the Chamber of Commerce. Most definitely. And I encourage you, join the Orangeburg County Chamber of Commerce. Invest in yourselves. Invest in your businesses. If anybody knows that you're worth it, you should know you're worth it. I thought y'all would be a little bit more happy about it. All right. Wonderful, wonderful. But Father, we love you, we bless you, we praise you. And we thank you so much for giving us, as we ask, for the wisdom, the understanding, the knowledge, and you gave it to us. Thank you for giving us the framework of your heart, the mindset we should have, wanting to help others, even as James said, to solve problems. So, Father, give us the ideas that you know personally we'll be passionate about. Because you made us, you caused us to like and really affirm some things in our lives. There are pet peeves that we have that can turn into a business to help somebody with these pet peeves that we have, with the dislikes that we see in our society, and we believe we have a solution that would help. Father, give us the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, the know-how as we continue to invest, watching videos, taking courses, reading books, going to seminars and the like, so that we can gain all that we need. Joining the Orangeburg County Chamber of Commerce, making sure that we are rubbing shoulders, having conversations with those who you know you have placed in our path to help us be a success. Father, you've already promised it to our forefathers, and that is why you said, I will make you a success, and you will have good success, is what your word says verbatim. And we receive all of it, and we know, even as Dr. Mcquilla said, we know, Lord, that we have to put in the work, and we are willing to put in the work. And we thank you, Father God, for giving us the energy, giving us the path. And we ask all these and other blessings in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus. And Father, I speak to every investment made, even the donations, the offerings that were given today. Father, those who said, I am going to go in. I'm going to use my faith, and I'm going to give largely. I'm going to give because I believe in what I am to do. Father, I speak that those seeds multiply into the expenses being so much lower than the income. And I thank you, Father God, for large profit margins, large profits that will give you glory, praise, and honor, even as our businesses give tithes and offerings to whatever church we belong to, and that we are able, even as your word says, to give those donations and to give of ourselves to help somebody else who was where we once were, and we're able to bring them up. And so we thank you for all these and other blessings. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. God bless you all. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll see you soon. God bless.
Appreciate it. Yes, sir.